p.m. Ms. Padilla, would you do roll call, please?
Mr. David Goucher.
Present.
Mr. Dan Blackwood.
Present.
Ms. Leanna Harding.
Here.
Mr. David Montero.
Here.
Ms. Melissa Myers.
Here.
Mr. Jason Olson.
Here.
Mr. Alejandro Flores. Mr. Deleon English.
Here.
Thank you, Ms. Padilla. At this time, the board will recess into closed meeting in PL1 as permitted by the Texas Opens Meeting Act, subchapter 551.072. It is 6:31. Thank you. We'll now reopen at
7:39.
Turn the volume off on that.
Is this one weird?
Turn the volume off on the speaker.
We'll open at 7:39. First up on the agenda is discuss and approve the non-binding letter of intent between Tribute Partners and Elm ISD.
Yes, thank you, President Myers. And first I want to say thank you to all the community members for being here this evening. We appreciate you coming out on a Monday evening at short notice. So thank you all very much. And thank you, board members, for being here. Over the last several months, LEISD, our district's been in discussion with landowners to purchase land for a middle school site. As everyone knows, we're going through a bond election. The land discussions were mainly between LEISD and two major developers. Little Elm ISD has exhausted discussions with one developer, but was able to come to an agreement with Tribute Partners to potentially purchase approximately 25.4 acres of land located along the north line of Lebanon Road, west of, I'm not sure how to say this name, Ventana Drive, I hope I said that correctly, in the colony. And then the Tribute Partners indicated that they have other interested parties, so we appreciate they have afforded LEISD an opportunity to purchase the land contingent on the bond election passing on November 7th under the non-binding terms as discussed in closed session. So, do you want me to read the recommendation? Or
Go ahead.
The recommendation, administration recommends approval of the non-binding letter of intent between Tribute Partners, LP, and Little Elm ISD.
I need a motion to approve as submitted.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion or questions?
Well, the first thing I want to ask, I know you guys, the administration, I know you guys have been looking at land for a long time. And yeah, there were several properties that we were looking at, some my favorites, some not. But anyway, why did this one, I guess why did it come down to this one?
This became the only, actually the only option. The other one, as I discussed here, we exhausted that. It basically came off of the table. So it really became our only option.
And if you don't mind, I add, I mean, being a part of the Little Elm EDC, we did work with the EDC to look at the whole Little Elm Independent School District, not just Little Elm, for any and all land tracts. We actually did that for 15 acres and higher. Knowing that at a middle school level, we're going to need 25 to 30 acres, we still exhausted all resources because within the bond, it's more than just one land possible purchase. It's multiple land purchases for future growth. And so we looked at all of the tracts that are currently available or that would fit that criteria. And basically it came down to, you know, of those 10 to 12 spots, we had 2 of them already. And so, and then when we started negotiations with the party, it just came down simply to this was the one that fit the need.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Well, I just had a question that you answered of that. Again, your statement of this is contingent upon the bond passing, meaning if this bond fails, will this be an option if we choose to go back out next spring, next fall, at some future date? Will this option still be on the table?
No, not the way this is currently written, so no. In fact, it states in there that it is contingent. The way the letter of intent is written, it's contingent upon the bond passing.
And it's my understanding they've parked another deal to accommodate our request, correct?
That is correct. There is another interested party in that land that we're potentially looking at purchasing.
Any other questions? All right, there's a motion on the table. All in favor, please raise your hand. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. We are moving superintendent comments up. That you had a presentation for us.
I do, and thank you, President Myers. I have a short presentation that can explain some more. I know we've had a lot of questions in our community about where we plan to build this middle school. That answers one, and I think, do we have the presentation up at this point? There we go. So I'll go through this very briefly. It's short, so thank you for being patient. As you all know, I've given several presentations to our community. I've done several. We have one additional presentation on October 17th. I hope to see everyone out at that presentation. But it all started with our long-range facilities planning committee, and as I mentioned in each of those presentations, it was a group of 35 of our community members, and I described them as our neighbors. And it was our neighbors that got together and volunteered their time and really put in a lot of energy to this process. They looked at our financial analysis, they looked at our demographic projections, they looked at the needs of the district, spent a lot of time, and again, anytime you get community members that are willing to devote their personal time to better the district, it really helps all of us. So I want to say a huge thank you to the community members. One of the things that they did, they placed items in terms of priority, and their number one priority was addressing the growth in our facilities. And the original, and you can see what I'm talking about here is just the top two items, the new middle school number 2, and then Lakeside Middle School replacement. Their number one priority was addressing the growth of the district. There are some other things in the bond that they added as well. The original recommendation was to build a second new middle school on land purchased from bond sales and then replace Lakeside Middle School on its current site at a later time. So again, here's the original recommendation. Middle school number 2, again, these are proposed and projected dollar amounts, would be just under $67 million. It was proposed to open in fall of 2020. And then Lakeside, the replacement, originally was discussed to build on the current site for approximately $75,412,000, and that would open 2 years later in the fall of 2022. And then you see the total cost of those two schools right there, $142,169,000. So with that, we have, and I don't know what happened there. We have a short video. Oh, here we go. We have a short video. We will release this video tonight. Thank you for managing this. So we'll release this video tonight. You'll be able to see this with our update on the locations for our 2 middle schools. So we can play that if we have.
You make it full screen.
I'm not controlling this, just so you know.
You make it full screen? Oh. Can you make it full screen?
We're happy with this if you can just.
Thank you.
There we go.
Oh, and we have no sound. I can talk over myself if I need to. Piece of land on the west side of Little Elm. But first, there have been developments on the 2000s. My name is Daniel Gallagher. I'm the superintendent of Little Elm ISD. I want to share with you in just a little bit why I'm standing on this piece of land on the west side of Little Elm. But first, there have been developments on the 2017 Little Elm ISD bond that I wanted to share with you. Based on the recommendation of the Long Range Facilities Planning Committee, which is made up of 35 community members, the plan has always been to build 2 new middle schools to address our district student growth. But something that wasn't known until now was the location of the Little Elm ISD's second new middle school. Because of these developments, we have amended our plans of where and when we build the 2 new middle schools in our district. After consideration of the locations and its financial impact, if the voters approve the bond, the plan is to build the 2 new middle schools first and at the same time. By doing this, we could potentially provide the district with approximately $11 million in savings based upon projected escalated construction costs. That additional money could go toward other future facility projects. Now to why I'm standing here on this piece of land the district currently owns. It's just off of El Dorado Parkway in the west side of Little Elm. This piece of land will be the location of the newest middle school that will replace Lakeside Middle School. The second new middle school will be located west of 423 and Lebanon Road in the Tribute Development. Both new campuses will have dedicated spaces for STEM, fine arts, collaborative learning spaces, and athletics. They both will be built to provide equal programming to every student in Little Elm ISD. So what does that mean for the existing Lakeside Middle School? This decision gives us an opportunity to study every option for the future of that campus and the adjacent land. For more information on the bond, please visit littleelmisdbond.net. Remember, early voting begins October 23rd and runs through November 3rd, and Election Day is November 7th. All right, thank you. If you could go back to, thank y'all. Thank y'all very much. And if we could, let me see if so the new proposal that I'm proposing is to build both new middle schools simultaneously to open in the fall of 2020. So you can see on this map, the one down on the, I can't point up there, but the green triangle on the very bottom right, that's over in the Tribute. And then the green triangle up at the very top is land that we currently own off of El Dorado. And then we are currently, if you can, well, you can see the arrow, but you can see where we're at. We're in between that. So the new district scenario, middle school number 2 in the Tribute, the cost would be $66,757,000 proposed to open, projected to open in fall of 2020. Lakeside replacement, we will build off of El Dorado, west of the bridge, currently on land that we own. And the price drops, it reduces to about $64 million. And again, that would open in the fall of 2020, which brings the total cost to approximately $130,721,000. The difference between option 1 and option 2 is roughly $11,447,000. That includes the approximate demolition cost and then the escalation cost in construction. So additional considerations for this new proposal. We have a letter of intent to purchase land for the middle school number 2. It is contingent upon board approval, which they just approved tonight. The benefit to this, and this is something I want to point out, first and foremost, there's a benefit to our students. Our students can both, no matter where they're zoned to, will both transition at the same time. So we won't have students moving from one building to another, back to another building. So the transition for our students will be much, much quicker and seamless. And the second benefit is a financial benefit for the district, saving roughly $11 million off of projected escalated construction costs. That's something that benefits our district moving forward. That's money that can be used on future projects. So I call it a win-win for our district, for our kids, and for our community, our taxpayers. So all students in grades 6 through 8 are planned to transition to the zone middle school schools in fall of 2020. It'll be just one move for the students. And then there would be additional time to study potential uses for the current Lakeside Middle School building. So while the original proposal was to tear down that building to build a new building on that site, this allows us to really look and take a hard look at a possible use for that building, because we all know once you bring a wrecking ball to a building, there's no going back. So we will put together a group, including our administrators, starting here at central office, with potential uses for that building. And first and foremost, we want to make sure it's something that benefits our kids. So we will be looking at that. And then middle school locations where we're proposing those will allow for the future growth in both west and east side of our district. So that concludes my presentation. And I would like to, if you have any questions or thoughts for me, I'll be happy to answer those.
Mine's not even on, so,
Here.
okay. No, I'm not enough, it's okay.
Do you want to use mine?
I'm good. One of the first questions I had when I heard about this idea is I was actually curious with a lot of conversations that have happened at the board presentation meetings. A lot of us individually have had with community members. I know we've all kind of had different ideas. I was wondering and curious as to where did this idea originally, the new proposal come from? And why was this potentially not one of the recommendations from the committee?
I think the best way I can answer that is without having a land deal in place, our options were limited. And one of the things that I would tell the community in our presentations is building on El Dorado and here at the current Lakeside site, that was a difficult one to explain, because having two middle schools within 2 miles of each other, and then when you think about zoning, and one of the things that, and I've been through this not only as a teacher, administrator, but also as a former board member, it's very hard to look at a parent in the eyes and say to that parent, you're going to drive past a building that you're close to go to another building, to another campus. That's difficult. So once we, and again, we've been looking for land, but once this became an option, it became a real option. And without that land deal, we had to go off of the recommendation and the really just with the information that we had at the time. But now that we have this land deal on the table and we see that we can have a decision that's beneficial for our kids and for our taxpayers, this is a win-win in my opinion.
Yeah, I know for me, one of the biggest things that has just been eating away at me is the logistics of the bus routes. If we did one and then the other, and where that potentially could be, the length of time kids spend on the bus, we fight that every year. The number of buses, the bus routes. So I'm actually very excited about this and that we were able to pull it off. I never would have thought this was possible. So good job, guys.
Well, thank you. And then busing will be something that will be much more streamlined, because we won't be busing students. Sometimes it takes 30 minutes to get to the other side of town, but it's less time on the buses. It's more streamlined in terms of our transportation. So there's some benefits there as well.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Mr.
All right, thank you.
So at this time, we'll just move into board comments. I don't have any, so we'll start with Mr. English.
I just want to say thank the administration for basically going through this and finding, ways to make this thing work. That $11 million is a big deal for us to be able to have that amount of money and potentially have some other uses for school. I mean, the busing alone was going to save us a great deal of money. So kudos to you guys finding ways to make this thing work with what we have.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And again, I'm going to take a minute to thank the board, each one of you, for your just your support, your dedication, and working through all this. And one thing I'll say about each of these board members, and I can speak to this because being a former board member myself, I know the time that you put into it. So I appreciate each one of you and just your dedication to this district and helping us move forward and just continue on that road of improvement. So thank you all.
I think you're going to continue to hear the same thing from the rest of the board members.
Mr. Olson?
Just a special thank you to Grant and Rod. I attended a bunch of meetings with both of those gentlemen when it came to the land purchase and the acquisitions. It was, great to see them, and Daniel too. You were at a lot of those meetings. It was, that was a lot of time on their part too to go through in the whole scheme of things of meeting with all the developers and stuff. So thank all three of you very much for all your work, and of course, rest of the staff I know behind the scenes, but I didn't get to spend as much time with you as I did with those three.
Again, to echo what the other board members have said, also just to kind of highlight that, when you see statements like subject to change and negotiations are happening, so we can't give details, again, those aren't cop-outs. It's because things are happening. I think there's a perfect product of that leaving, the ability to make changes for what's best of the kids is, what makes this administration great, this board great, and ultimately we're seeing the fruits of that in this new plan. So thank you for that.
Just a quick comment, because I want to throw Mr. Olson in with Mr. Grant and Mr. Roberts for all their efforts, especially with the land. I know you guys spent a lot of time on that. So and I know y'all heard my opinions all the time on the land purchase, so thank you for dealing with it and for the work y'all put in, so, Mr. Olson.
Sorry, mine's not on for some reason. The one thing that I definitely want to, I would definitely like to say is, one of my concerns when I first kind of heard about the change in this was basically going back to the long range committee. I honestly feel that this is, even though we are changing, quote unquote, the plan, we are definitely staying true to that plan. I don't want to say that it is an improvement to it. We had information, the district had information now that was not available at that point in time. So they were able to use knowledge and build upon that information. So I am very happy about that. The other thing I'd like to say is I am sure that there are a multitude of people in this room and on this panel that are going to have some ideas that $11 million for you really fast. So again, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, board. At this time, we'll take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor, please adjourn. So moved. We will close